and welcome to Deals with Heels, where female entrepreneurs thrive. I'm Debra, your host. Welcome to the show. I'm excited about this next guest. She's really big into networking and sales. You guys know I love all of that in promoting your business. So let's just get started, shall we? All right. Melissa Snow is a business relationship strategist dedicated to empowering female entrepreneurs to thrive. She has established and grown 3 successful businesses, and now, as the founder and CEO of Powerful Women Rising LLC, she is on a mission to change the face of networking. She teaches people how to network like a human and not a salesy weirdo, and leads a vibrant membership community that provides women with support and resources for business growth. She is the host of the podcast Powerful Women Rising. Please welcome Melissa to Deals with Heels.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
I am really happy to have you on the show. I tend to, of course, always pick like-minded people, but I think that you and I have a lot in common in our journey. So I always like to start, though, with you telling us a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey so people can get a feel for kind of who you are and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that question because sometimes when we leave that part of the story out, it sounds like success came really fast and really easy for us. And it's an important part of the story, honestly, because I never intended to become an entrepreneur. It kind of happened accidentally. I was working as a personal injury paralegal, so mostly doing car accidents and that kind of stuff. And I was doing some moonlighting on the side for a guy who had a business where he was providing medical record summaries for personal injury attorneys. So he would charge these attorneys $60 an hour. He would pay me $25 an hour to do the actual work. And it was an awesome gig for him. And so I worked for him for a little while. And then he decided he wanted to focus on a different part of his business. He asked me if I wanted his clients. I said, sure. And overnight, I became a business owner with a full client load who was making money without even trying. And I was like, entrepreneurship is so fun. We should all do this. And I learned eventually that not everyone's entrepreneurial journey works that way. So a couple of years later, I launched my first coaching business. I was a dating and relationship coach. My business was called Love Starts Here, and it did not go the same way. I thought I would get my coaching certification and I would be like, I'm a coach who's ready for coaching. And all the people would line up and throw their money at me. And to say that it did not work that way would be like the understatement of the century. And so I learned through a lot of time, a lot of trial and error, what worked and what didn't work in terms of building a successful and sustainable business. And I went through the same things that I know a lot of women building businesses go through, especially if you don't have a background in business or entrepreneurship or marketing, where we're just going with the next thing, right? The next Facebook ad that says, you need this. This is the reason you're not making money. You need a funnel. You need a website. You need to take this course about how to monetize your TikTok or like whatever the thing is, right? I spent so much time and so much money on all of those things that I thought were going to be like the thing that finally changed everything for me, that finally made it so that I was bringing in consistent income and I was a successful dating and relationship coach. And in retrospect, what I realized is that the one thing that consistently made me money, brought me clients, grew my income was the relationships that I built, the connections that I made. And so when I launched Powerful Women Rising 3 years ago, I really wanted to help female entrepreneurs get back to focusing on that, focusing on creating these genuine connections with other women in business, to use those connections in a way that actually feels good to you and builds your business in a way that is really super sustainable. And I know we'll get into all of that, but that's the short version.
I think that is a great entrepreneurial story. I didn't intend to be an entrepreneur either. I didn't even know what that word meant, I don't think, when I was heading off to college in 1985. And, you always have in your mind like all the different professions, not the business that runs the profession, right? So if you're going to be
Right.
a lawyer, you don't think about I have to own a business and know how to sell myself and promote my office. And I think a lot of businesses kind of get into that thing where I know how to roof, so I'm going to be a roofer, but they don't know anything about actually being a business or promoting the business or how they're going to get the business. They're kind of focused on that. If you build it, they will come, because lots of people need roofing. Surely it wouldn't be that hard, right?
Yeah,
Lord, do we all need some relationship coaching advice, girl? I don't
100%
know how that
in
business
one
didn't
area or another.
right? I mean, you are right. Everything is about relationships. And we've talked a lot on the show about networking. In fact, season one, we had a whole 5-part series about networking and had our guest was a woman that's local to Oklahoma City who accidentally started this big networking group. She has like 14 or 15 different meetings that happen at lunches now. And it really happened by accident that they all got together and built this community and they all wanted to keep talking. And so it's such
Awesome.
a big deal to be able to do that. Let's talk just about networking. What do you think some of the biggest mistakes people make when they're networking?
Yeah, I would say the first is just being aware of what the purpose of networking is. I think that's where it really starts. And that's where so much of this, what I called salesy weirdo behavior, comes in, is because people mistakenly think that the purpose of networking is to find clients, right? We're walking into a networking event and we're surveying the room of like, who is my ideal client? Who in here looks like they will buy my thing, right? And that's actually the total wrong approach. And that's how you end up going in with the salesy weirdo vibe. The purpose of networking really is to grow your network. And there are a lot of benefits to growing your network apart from just finding new clients, right? Like, of course, referrals will come. Of course, you will meet people at networking events who will be like, oh my gosh, I've been looking for somebody who does exactly what you do. Yes, that will happen, but that's kind of the cherry on top. That's not why you're going there. You're going there to create connections with other people who are going to open doors for you that may not otherwise be opened, or you may not even know those doors even exist without those connections, right? People who will say your name in rooms that you're not in, people who know, like, oh, I know Deborah's really looking for more podcasts to be a guest on, right? So now when I'm out and about and I'm chatting and I have a conversation with somebody who's like, but you haven't had to go out and have 500 coffee dates with 500 people in order to find these opportunities, right? So there's a definition of networking from a long time ago that is a broadcast system of multiple transmitters. And obviously, that was about like TV and radio broadcasting. But I think it's a good definition for business too, because really what networking is doing for you is creating all of these other broadcast systems that are transmitting your message, right? So now you have the power not just to reach the people who are in your audience, but you also have the power to reach the people who are in the audiences of all the people who are in your network. And that just keeps multiplying and compounding exponentially as time goes on. And so that's one of the reasons that I say that networking really is like the most underrated, but really the most sustainable form of business growth that there is.
And I think people know that. I just think they label it something else. They'll say, well, word of mouth. I get all of
Yeah.
my customers, all my clients come from word of mouth. And that is networking. You built a network and that network is working for you. That word of mouth is your network
Yeah,
talking about you and putting you in rooms that you haven't been in. Such a big
absolutely.
deal. I do sales coaching. And so I often include networking as prospecting because it's such a good source of prospecting. You're not really looking for prospects though. And for me, just like you said, I'm not out here finding my next customer. I mean, it's great. If I get your business, fantastic. That's fantastic. But what I really want is everyone you know's business and I
Right.
want to earn that position. So it's such a great way, but it also, for me, I have to spend time by myself and I can really almost hermit. And so networking helps me build that business community that I don't naturally build on my own.
Yeah.
It helps
Yeah,
me.
and there's so many benefits of having that community that you don't really think about until you have it or until you had it and then you don't have it anymore, right? Like, yeah, it's great for like marketing and visibility and all that stuff, but it's also just really nice to not have to do everything alone, to have somewhere to go when you're like, everything is terrible and I think I'm just going to shut my business down, right? Because we all get to that point, to have people who understand and say like, yep, been there, you'll feel differently tomorrow, just keep going. Or when you are stuck with something like, I just can't figure out why Riverside won't record correctly, right? To be able
Right.
to go to your community of people and say, does anybody else use this? Have you had this problem? Right now, you can solve your problem and you can keep moving forward in exponentially less time than it would have taken you trying to figure out that solution on your own. So, there really is just, there's so much benefit to having the right community around you when you're growing a business.
It is. And I think oftentimes as women, we struggle in that where society has made it where we're pitted against one another to a certain extent, right? We're focused on judging other women for the systemic idea of what we're supposed to be like, not what we're actually like. And we don't do it intentionally. We really don't. We don't realize that.
Yeah. And in some ways, traditional networking has not done us any favors in that sense either, right? Because there's still so many networking groups and networking events that are exclusive. We have one business coach, we have one realtor, we have one photographer. And so there is this sense of competition of like who's going to get that spot, right? I tend to gravitate a lot more towards groups and events where they're not exclusive. We have 6 different people who all do the same thing. And I actually find there's a lot of benefit, a lot more benefit to being in a group like that than being in an exclusive group because it allows for the authenticity to play a part in things, right? It allows for this idea that like not everybody is for everybody. I think I am freaking hilarious and my clients think I'm freaking hilarious. And I also know for a fact there are somehow people on this earth who do not find me funny at all, right? They are never in a million years going to come to my events, join my community because they're just like, what is this lady and why does she think she's funny? And that's okay. That's why I need to be in spaces where there are other women who do what I do, because maybe they will find that woman funny, or maybe that woman's not funny at all. And that's exactly what they want, right? Like they don't want to have fun. They want business, business, business. And so that person is the perfect fit for them. And when you have relationships with other people who do the same thing as you do, when you can get over that competition versus collaboration mindset, now I know exactly who to send you to if you're like, yeah, I don't know. I just think this is not the vibe, right? I'm like, okay, tell me why this is not the vibe. I don't know. I just want something more serious. Great. Go to Cindy. She's much more serious and she's great at what she does, right? So there's so much benefit to not just creating relationships with people who are outside of your sphere, who can be good referral partners and find opportunities for you and things, but also creating relationships with people who do the same thing that you do, because there's a lot of value in that too. So I totally agree with you on the competition being like so 1990s.
It really is. And there is a lot of it. I see a lot. And I'm in some women's groups on social media that I don't participate a lot in. One, because I don't have time. But I joined them and, you go through and you offer advice and you do all of your things. And now you're inundated with everything from that group. But I've noticed a lot of people not wanting to collaborate or people that feel like they're being picked on, right? And they post in the group saying, I don't understand. We're supposed to support one another, even though we do the same thing. So it's a really important thing that you collaborate with people. I'm in marketing. There's a million different types of marketing agencies out there. And you may even have both be social media agencies, but that doesn't mean one of you's good at LinkedIn for business to business. And even then, maybe somebody else does video more than just regular posting. So it's important to keep all of those things in mind and to always remember that a small piece of a giant pie is bigger than half the whole pie that's small. So opening up all of those things, we so tend to forget that. And it's important to collaborate with like-minded people. And if you're in the same industry, you're probably like-minded.
Yeah, I would think so. At least in
I mean, most marketing people are really growth-minded and think about content and think about creative ideas. And those are great people for you to collaborate with and brainstorm with and get to know, because if someone's going to have experienced a problem that you're experienced in, they're going to knowing someone in your own industry that can tell you how to get through it, man, that is so invaluable.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to go back to the question that you asked me in the beginning, if we can, just real quick, about some misconceptions or myths that people believe
Yes.
about networking, because I know inevitably there are people listening to this podcast that are like, okay, that sounds really great for you to confident, outgoing, extroverted, charismatic, funny people, right? But the truth is, a lot of people think that networking really only works for a certain type of person, right? When I tell people that I am a networking expert or that I teach people how to network effectively, they have this image of me that I'm like out every night at the happy hours and, clinking my cocktail glass and schmoozing with the bros. And that could not be further from the truth. Like any opportunity I have to stay home, I'm going to take. So,
Or that you're going to teach them how to be outgoing.
right,
And
right.
when you're going to teach them how to use their specific skills to make connections just like you do in regular life.
Absolutely, yes. And so there are a lot of different like formats of networking. There's a lot of different types of groups. There are like we said, exclusive and non-exclusive. There are virtual networking opportunities, there's in person, there's ones that have a lot more structure, a lot less structure. And so really a lot of it is about finding the space where you feel the most comfortable because that is where you're going to thrive. And so I just wanted to put that out there for people who are listening to this that are like, yeah, that sounds great, but I tried networking and I hated it. Yes. And there are also a lot of different ways to network. And there is a way that you actually will enjoy doing and that will work for you based off of your personality and how you like to show up.
And the personality of the group itself. I have been in groups that were membership groups that you paid to be a member of. And when I joined, the group was fantastic. I fit completely in. I cannot be in a group that's super buttoned up tight. And here's the agenda. I will say something inappropriate. It's just a nerve thing for me. And like if I can't feel the vibe and that there's creativity and I can't be in that. And so if I visit a group that's like that, then I know that's not really the place for me. That not only am I not going to be comfortable, I'm going to make them uncomfortable. But sometimes when enough of the personnel in the group, right? Because this is a membership group that people have paid. So people join and pay. When you've had enough of that group, either add people or turn over people, now you can start to get a totally different personality because the group is combination of everyone that's in it. So I think finding the one that has your people in it is
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I definitely like that you listed all the different types of groups. I'd like to dig into that a little bit more because I think people forget about online groups. I know I forget about online networking. I've got a whole list of things locally that I like to participate in. If my schedule, like this is on my list and I can't go this month, but I'm going to try to do this instead to plan all of those things out, but I forget about online groups. So tell us about your online group and what we should look for when we're looking for an online networking group.
Yeah. I think sometimes we forget about virtual networking opportunities because there are so many bad ones.
Right.
And
I've
we've
been,
attended so many bad ones that we're like, okay, never mind. Virtual networking is not where it's at. So I run a monthly virtual speed networking event for female entrepreneurs that's open to everyone. You don't have to be a member of the Powerful Women Rising community. And I started doing those events because I couldn't find a virtual event that was what I wanted it to be. I remember I went to one and when I was thinking about starting my own, and I was watching the number of people in the Zoom room go up and up and up and up. And this woman had like over 300 women on her virtual networking event. And I was like, what is she doing? Because like she's got it dialed in, right? So, first breakout room we go into, I'm in a breakout room with it's me and four other people. None of them have their cameras on. And so I'm me. So I'm like, hi, everybody. How are you? Huh?"
me
And
too.
like no one responds. And so I sat there for a little bit and I was like, and then
Are you
finally I
still
just,
there?
yeah,
Did you go to the
I'm like,
kitchen? Did you get
hello.
so bored you left?
So I left the breakout room. I went back to the main room and I was like, hi, nobody had their cameras on and no one was talking. And she's like, oh gosh, so sorry. So she puts me in another breakout room, exact same thing. right? So, I mean, we're looking for quality over quantity for starters, but also somewhere where you are surrounded by the kind of people that you want to be connecting with. Sometimes you can't figure that out unless you go to the event and figure it out. But one of the things that I really like about the online networking event that I run is it's very fast. So you get put in three different breakout rooms. So you have an opportunity to meet, 3 to 5 people in each breakout room. The questions are about business, but they're also like enough about personality that you get to know who people are as a person. And it's not just like listening to people's elevator pitch over and over again. So I just kind of recommend checking different ones out. I mean, I have some that I recommend consistently, and I'm happy to share those with you and your listeners. But it sometimes is just a matter of it's kind of like dating, right? Like you have to just try it and see. And sometimes you're like, okay, maybe I'll come back here again. And other times you're like, I need to pretend like my roommate is locked out and I have to go right this second. And honestly, that's one of the great things about virtual networking events is if they suck, you just push a button and you're
And
done,
you're
right? It's
gone,
not like
right?
I did my hair, I put my makeup on, I put my heels on, I drove all the way to this thing. It sucks, but I should stay because I'm here and it's awkward if I leave. So, yeah,
I
that's
like
my
that it's
recommendation.
fast too.
Yes.
And listen, if you're in a virtual group with 100 people or even 30 people, you have to have breakout sessions to really get to know people. You do. You can't continue. And I'm assuming the follow up with one to one with anyone you connect with is always a part, but that is such a big deal. Finding, I admit I've been and attended a few different ones and I try to give them grace and try to come back, but sometimes I'm just like, that is not the place for me. I can tell by the format and how they do it or how unorganized it is. Sometimes I have little patience for that. I'm just,
Yeah, same.
I'm
No, I
old.
wanted to
I've
move
been around
quickly
a
and I
long
want to
time and
get what I came for, right? It's kind of like going to a webinar where they're like, we're going to teach you the 5 secrets of why your marketing is not working or whatever. And you're like, great, this is exactly what I need. And then you go, and the first like 32 minutes are them telling you about themselves and their history and how successful they are and their client testimonies and what they sell and blah, 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 right? You're like, I just want to know the 5 marketing things. And so I always tell people at the beginning of my virtual speed networking events, I'm like, I am going to introduce myself. I'm going to tell you who I am, what I do, what the Powerful Women Rising community is all about. But I talk super fast and then I'm going to get you into a breakout room because I want them to know this is not another event where you go thinking like, oh, yay, I'm going to meet people. But really, it's like listening to me pitch myself for 45 minutes and then I'll put you in a breakout room real quick and we'll go.
right. Or just even if it's not the leader pitching themselves, pitching the group and on about this is why we do this and this is
Yeah.
why we do this and this is why we do this. But because
Yeah.
the only reason we're all there for the same reason to build a relationship with people and grow our business together. We're not there to listen to half the time be of, and oftentimes the moderator isn't that good. They're following a requirement that the actual group corporate office, whatever it is asking them to read, which is important for I'm a marketing person is really important, but that's not why anyone is here. And you're taking time away that they could be using to spend growing their business and making connections. And God, you definitely hit that on the nail on the head for me on
Yeah.
not wanting to spend all of that time doing housekeeping. That's housekeeping. That's like
Yes.
inviting people over to your house and then spending 30 minutes vacuuming and picking up tidying in front of them because that's what it feels like to me.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So trying different ones and finding like where your people are and where the vibe feels good, where you feel like you're getting what you came for and that it's a good use of your time. And sometimes you have to try them more than once, everybody has off days, but generally you'll know within the first 15 to 20 minutes if that's your vibe or not.
And if you have at least one person in there you feel like you connect with, you can always, that's a great reason to reach out to them if, hey, I met you in this group and I'm curious about the group and how
Yeah.
successful it's been for you. Have you gotten any business? I did that and I found out the person that I was meeting with was someone in a kind of similar, it was a business to business situation like mine. And I found out that she had been going for months and had not gotten any business. And she was really good. She followed up with me to get an appointment. She was doing all of the things, but she was not closing business in there. And of course, there can be a variety of different reasons, but I was questioning it already based on the meeting that I attended. So that helped me get that feedback.
Yeah. And you can also ask the people if you go to an event and you only meet like one or two people that you feel like, yeah, she's like on my level. I vibe with her. She seems, to have similar values, whatever. Ask them if they found other virtual networking events that they did enjoy or that they did get good results from, right? Like sometimes that's the reason that you came to that was so that you could
Yes.
learn about the other one.
Yes, 100%. Also, one of the things that I found when I was coaching people for sales coaching and networking, one of the things that was difficult for them was actually giving business, right? Because that's a big part of being part of a network and you want to get a referral. It's important that you give referrals too. I think we get sometimes caught in this thing of, especially if there's a lot of MLM women, which don't get me wrong, I love all those side hustles, but the constant wanting people to buy directly from you when some of people are there to build connections for referrals for their business, you can get in a trap of just sitting there buying and spending money so that you're giving referrals, but that's not the same thing. So I think it's important really to give business and to recognize when a referral opportunity is sitting right in front of you. And for me, I like to take note. If I'm in my sales presentation, for example, I'm not going to stop because they said something about their son getting married and talk about my great photographer that I have in the middle of my own sales pitch. But if I
Mhm.
make a note of it, then now I have a great reason to follow up with them that doesn't involve me closing the sale, right? It just involves me talking to them about their son getting married. And I have a couple of people that, if you need referrals that I know are really good and talented, or they took my friend's wedding photos or whatever it is, now they'll take your call again. And that time might be the time that you ask them about it. But every time I call someone that I've met with, they're always like, oh, we haven't decided. Oh, I know. I haven't. I'm not calling about that. I just
Yeah.
remember you saying, and it's a great tie in and it's a way to remember. So when you notice somebody says something that clicks, just make a note of it, right?
Yep. Yeah, any opportunity that you have to provide value to other people without expecting something in return, that really is the basis for creating good business relationships. And that could be, you mentioned that you're really struggling with TikTok, and I have this person who, is great at it, just wanted to pass her information on if that interests you. Or I heard this podcast episode that's about growing your business through TikTok, or, this blog post or whatever it is. And like you said, it's not there's no pitch involved. It's just I remember you saying this and here's a resource that might be helpful for you. And that really is a great way to build up trust with people that you've just met and also stay in touch with them and keep yourself top of mind because like that's very nice. How often do people even remember what you said, let alone take the time to follow up with you and share a resource that they know will be helpful for you? So I love that.
It invests. It really invests in the other person. I invested enough time to make the connection. I invested time to listen with curiosity and remember, man, who doesn't like that?
Yeah.
Right? We all want
Absolutely.
somebody that's willing to invest just a little bit to get to know me a little bit before you make a decision on whether or not you want to do business or even have a relationship with me. And don't discount somebody because they don't fit your normal referral partner. And my former co-host Christina used to tell this story about her friend who was out networking and she sold like hair care products, wholesale hair care products. And she sold them directly too, but she was really trying to get bigger in bigger areas. And so this gentleman wanted to do a one-to-one with her and she almost said no because he was bald. He was a bald man. And here she's selling, feminine hair care products. And she's thinking, what does this guy want to meet with me for? Right. But she meets with him. She goes over she lets go of all of those uncomfortable feelings, and she meets with him, and turns out that his wife has a chain of salons. And he just wanted to get to know her before he referred her to his wife, who was very busy. So don't take it. You never know when someone has the right connection. And if they came to you, then the universe, God, whatever it is to you, puts people together for the right reasons, you
Yeah,
know?
I love that story. I learned that when I was working as a dating and relationship coach because I would go into networking events. I worked exclusively with women and almost exclusively with single women. And so I would go into these networking events and I would be like, it's all dudes and married women. Like, there's no point in me even being here. But the more conversations I had, the more I realized, like, I would talk about, this is who I work with. And everyone I would talk to would say, you need to talk to my daughter. You need to meet my friend. You need to talk to my sister, right? Like, everybody knows somebody. So,
That
yeah, I
needs
love
a
that
good
story.
relation. Right. Yes, it's not about who's in the room. It's who the people in the room know.
Yes,
And boy, and if you
absolutely.
can get somebody that works at a chamber, right? He works at one of the local chambers to be in your net. Man, they know everybody, right? That's a
Yes.
great one of the first networking groups I was in when I restarted my career in my fees and started over. He worked for the Oklahoma City Chamber of Commerce in sales and member support. And so he knew everybody. You could
Yeah.
stand up, and you're networking for whales. And if you can't think of something specific, I'm trying to get in to speak to somebody that works in the marketing department for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And you'll have a room with 50 people. I guarantee you somebody in there will know. They just
Yeah.
do. Everybody's got this network of people. They may not even realize that even the janitor sometimes can get you in the door if you know somebody.
Yeah.
So
And that's an
I love,
important point too, is like knowing what it is that you're looking for, right? Like knowing what your objective is when you go into these networking events. And it may change from time to time. There may be times where you're really focused on finding speaking opportunities. There may be times that you are really like trying to find someone to hire to do a specific thing, or maybe you're just looking for like people that you like to hang out with that like are could actually maybe make business fun for you. And so knowing what it is that you're looking for,
hey, I like that.
we're like getting in our own way and making it too hard for people to refer us.
Right. And having really expectations of how other people should be, having predisposed opinions about whether or not they can help our business. When they ask to meet with us, they have something in mind. They may
Yeah,
be thinking you can help their business, but if you have connections for their business, they have connections for yours. You're in that, right? That you've got the same customers, same similar customers, same types, all of those things. Such great tips. Such great
thank you.
tips. And I'm sure there's plenty of people, and I'm one of them, that want to attend one of your networking events for Women Rising. How do they do that?
Yeah, our networking events that are open to the public are on the first Tuesday of every month at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. All the information and the registration is on my website. So it's powerfulwomenrising.com. Just go to the event section. You can see the upcoming dates. You can register for the next one or the next five, whatever you want to do. And we would love to see you there. It's very, very fun.
It sounds really fun. And then tell us about just the group itself, because it's much more involved than just speed networking.
Yeah. So the Powerful Women Rising community is really not even a networking group. It's really a business growth community. So I found when I was networking that there were a lot of groups that were really focused on building that personal connection, but you kind of felt like it was taboo to even talk about your business. And then there were other groups that were very business focused. Like, we don't care that your dog just died. How many referrals did you pass this month? Right. And so I really wanted a space that was somewhere in between those two, and also somewhere where I didn't have to choose, like, am I going to spend the next hour creating relationships, or I'm going to spend the next hour working on my business? And so the Powerful Women Rising Business Growth Community really is a place where you can do both at the same time. You're building connections with the other members, you're getting to know them, you're learning about their business, how you can refer them, how you can support them, and vice versa. But you're also doing it while you are working on your own business. So we have networking calls, we have mastermind calls where we're helping each other problem solve. We have a networking lab where you get to practice some networking skills, get answers to questions that you have about networking, figure out why what you've been doing isn't working and how you can tweak it to make networking work for you better. So there's a lot of different things that are involved in the community, but really the goal is to help you show up as a human and a business owner who wants to grow their business at the same time, and do it by building these genuine connections and these business relationships with women that want to support you and want to help you and see you succeed.
I love that so much. I definitely do. And I am going to send people your way for sure. Love, there's a unique way that women communicate and support one another. We're spiritual by nature. And I feel like it's a really important thing that you're doing. And I'm really happy to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
And like all great conversations, we've run out of time. My audience hears me say it almost every single week because I can't help myself. I get so interested, and I know that what you're doing can be so helpful to all the entrepreneurs out there, especially women. We struggle with so many things that men don't. We have so many expectations put on us, and we are hard on one another. We're harder on each other than men could ever be on us. So I love what you're doing. I fully support it. I will link to all of that in the show notes. And any final word of wisdom for our audience?
I would just say, even if you've tried networking before, if you are nervous about networking, if you think that it doesn't work or it has to feel slimy or gross, or any of these ideas that you have about networking and why it's not for you, give it a try again and keep trying different formats, different places to do it, different ways to do it until you find what works for you, because there is something for everyone and it is worth the investment of your time and your energy.
It 1000% is. So do it. Keep trying. You will find your people. They're out there waiting for you. So with that, please like, share, send us an email. Let us know what you think of the show. And until next time, we're out.